A nationally renowned, compelling, and sometimes controversial exhibit is coming to Grand Rapids. The Grand Rapids Public Museum will host Bodies Revealed. The traveling exhibit features whole and partial body specimens that have been dissected and preserved using liquid silicone rubber, which is used to prevent the natural decay process. Visitors get a look inside the human skeletal, muscular, respiratory, and circulatory systems. The exhibit is expected to include about 12 full-body specimens and 200 additional organs and partial specimens. This exhibit and ones like it have come under fire since they started popping up across the country, some calling them freak shows. Others concerned about where the bodies came from and whether the venues have permission to put them on display. Grand Rapids Public Museum officials say they conducted community focus groups before deciding to host this exhibit.
I think this is one more of a string that will be very significant in showing our connection and reflection of not only where the community has been, but where it is going. It's absolutely key that we continue to have that kind of focus.
Bodies Revealed will open at the Grand Rapids Public Museum November 20th and will run through May 1st of next year.
Chris Carone is Director of Education, Interpretation, and Research at the Grand Rapids Public Museum, and he's going to be talking with us now more about this exhibit. There are so many questions having to do with this. You did a lot of research before this came to Grand Rapids. How long did it take to get it here?
Well, we've been receiving questions from the community for years about doing an exhibit like this. We realized we're probably the most appropriate place to host it, and so we talked with community groups representing the medical community, education, religious community, to make sure that this was right for Grand Rapids and presented in a way that this community wanted to see it. Okay. Centered on education and respectful.
Okay, so you had these focus groups from those different areas. What were some of the questions that you asked them to see how it would be received in Grand Rapids? How did you try and get the answers to these questions? Because it has been controversial in other markets.
Well, controversial and also extremely well received. Many people have seen these exhibitions. We wanted to know, would they bring their students to them? We wanted to know from religious leaders, would you have objections to this? How do you deal with end-of-life issues, and how do you view an exhibit like this? What we heard is that it was a wonderful tribute to the fascination of creation, and it was a wonderful scientific opportunity for students, for people to really learn from seeing the body firsthand.
And it must be unsettling to some, I would imagine, in seeing a human body on display, and how Brian mentioned how it was on display. They were able to take the skin and do some sort of process to it so that you're actually looking at the insides of a human body. Do we know where these bodies have come from, who they are? I know the organization that has put this display on in different cities has also come up against a little bit of criticism in that area. Who are these people?
We do know that these bodies were donated for the purposes of science and education. It was one of the things we wanted to make sure that the company could provide us good documentation of that. The company that does the polymer preservation process is located in China. The best people in the world to do these things are located in Asia, and so the bodies come from Asia as well. But we wanted to make sure that they were donated for these purposes and that they could be used for education.
Thank you for joining us.